Kevin of Loxley is back, and this time he brought with him another movie turned into a game. This time it's the Towering Inferno for your Atari 2600 by US Games, and it's just a screenshot on the label, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and take this 2600 game, pop it in my Atari 7800 Pro system, and find out how the Towering Inferno holds up today. Let's go to the game. Towering Inferno was published by US Games, who was owned by Quaker Oats, and carries a copyright year of 1982. The name of the game was licensed from the 1974 movie of the same name, although the game doesn't really follow the plot of the movie all that closely. According to the back of the box, a skyscraper has burst into flames, and now it's up to you alone and a helicopter escort to rescue the hundreds of people trapped inside. I guess there must have been some serious budget cuts at the local fire department. The game is divided into 9 towers, each with 9 floors, and each floor contains 4 people trapped behind a door at the top of the floor maze. When you start in a room, you can use a joystick to control your fireman and the button to continuously shoot water from your unlimited supply. You can only shoot up or down, not sideways, and the length of your stream of water is pretty limited. And only flames out in the open can be extinguished. Flames in walls cannot. However, one thing you should know is that the controllers are switched in this game, with the first player using the right controller and the second player using the left, which is opposite of most other 2600 games. So if you're trying to play a single player game and your guy won't move, try plugging your controller in the opposite port. Floors have various floor plans and are filled with 2 types of fire: the regular flameoids and the large walls of fire. Each one can take several shots to take out. Flames only move side to side, but move very erratically and can seemingly jump large distances. Your goal is to get to the top of the room, press the button at the door to rescue the trapped people inside, and then go to the exit with them at the bottom of the screen for the rescue copter to take the rescuees to safety and you to the next floor. However, your time is limited. The trapped people are represented by 4 figures at the top of the screen, and over time one will begin to blink and disappear, meaning that that person did not survive. You could try to extinguish all the flames to stop the invisible timer, but this can be very difficult to do, so it's best often to focus on clearing enough flames to make a path, as the timer goes very fast, so much so that I don't recall ever being able to rescue all 4 of the people trapped on a floor. You lose a life every time you touch a flame, and since they move so erratically, be prepared for lots of lost lives. Thankfully, the game gives you 4 firemen per floor. That's right, not per building, per floor. My guess is the developer knew that the flames would be hard to avoid, especially given the fact that you have to be pretty close to them to extinguish them, and you don't really have the time to patiently take them all out. The game has 7 variations. Game 1 is a single-player game that ends on any floor when there are no survivors left or when all firemen have been lost. Game 2 is also for 1 player, and it ends just like Variation 1, however this time when you push the reset button, it starts a new game at the same floor with the same score where your last game left off. Game 3 is a single-player practice game where the player repeats each lost floor. Game 4 is for 2 players. Players alternate turns in this variation and the game ends for either player when they miss a floor. Game 5 is for 2 players and they take turns by floor. Any player missing a floor is restarted on floor 1 of the first building. Game 6 is for 2 players. This time you alternate turns by floor and any player missing a floor repeats that floor. And finally Game 7 also for 2 players, where you take turns on each floor, and if either player completes a floor, both players advance to the next floor. The game also uses the difficulty switches. On the A position, flames are invisible within the walls, so you don't know where they're hiding, but in the B position you can see them through the walls, but you still can't extinguish them when they're in the walls. Graphically speaking, I liked the outside shots of the building and the helicopter, but I didn't care much for the action scene graphics. The sound also didn't do much for me as well, but it didn't bother me either. Family friendly wise, this game actually has quite a bit of people dying in the game, although you never see it, as the trapped people just blink away. Still, it does add a little bit tension to the game that the lives of the trapped people rely purely on your skill, even if they are just blocky stick figures. On eBay, loose copies of the game was going for $4 to $5, and complete copies were going for $11 to $12, and as always, those prices include shipping. So what did I think of Towering Inferno? Well, it's okay, but there were several things I didn't care for. For instance, I wish it could have made it a little easier to make your water stream longer and allow you to shoot in all 4 directions, because I think if I was in a burning building, I would probably shoot to the left and right if it meant my life. I also would have liked it if I could have shot straight ahead rather than slightly to the left or right. I also thought that the fire moved a little too erratically, leading to some cheap deaths, and I also didn't like how sometimes the fireman got caught on corners when he was trying to navigate the floors. But it does try some ambitious gameplay, and it is definitely better than Magic's Firefighter, which I reviewed in episode 53. It's a kind of game that I wouldn't go out of my way for, but if I happen to get a copy in a mixed slot, I would pop it in and try it out. So where am I going to rank Towering Inferno? Well, let's see. I'd rather play Bugs at 40 and Vanguard at 41, but I'd rather play it over the better made but more complicated Raiders of the Lost Ark at 42, so I'm going to make Towering Inferno my new number 42 ranked game for the Atari 2600. Towering Inferno, I think I'd rather watch the movie, which I've never seen. I wonder if my local library has a copy. Let me check. Oh, drat, they don't. Well, if you enjoy Retro Relay videos, would you please click the like and subscribe buttons. I'm also a member of the Retro Junkies Network. You can find more retro podcasts and videos at theretrojunkies.com. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode of The No Sir Gamer. Take care and watch out for jumping walls of flame.